We're going to start in a supported back bend. You can take a blanket, and for this you can fold it something like this, and I'm going to fold it one more time. It's going to look something like that, although if it's a little narrow or a little thicker, you're fine. I'm going to put this towards the back of my mat with plenty of space for my head and my upper back to be on the mat. Now, coming into this, keeping your legs bent, feet on the ground, using my hands as sort of a braking system, I'm going to start to lower myself down. And you can lower your shoulders onto the blanket. You can see my head is on the sticky mat. And then I'm going to backstroke my arms, sort of like I'm doing the backstroke in swimming, to move my body, the upper part of my body, to the far side of this blanket, right? So now the very bottom tips of my shoulder blades have come right here to the edge of the blanket, right? You can see my head is on the sticky mat, my arms are on the ground, it's pretty comfortable. We can do the constructive rest version, feet wide apart, knees resting into each other. See how that feels for your back. You can see how this prop has increased the overall arc of my entire spine. So it's enhanced the lumbar curve. And this might be just a lovely place to hang out for a while. You might also try, especially if you're feeling a little stiffer, gently, slowly windshield wipering the legs side to side. You can see as I'm going side to side, I'm also taking my feet forward a little bit. So there's a sense of elongation through the body. Right? And then that might bring you into straight-legged version, right? Now, my lower back is now going more towards the sky. So if that feels like too much for your body, rebend the legs, knees together, feet apart, okay? Supported back bend. These poses have the added benefit of enhancing or possibly enhancing the inhalation or bringing more nutrients, more life force into your body. I feel like I could stay here for like half an hour and maybe just call it a day. That would be the end of the class. No, but gotta go to work. Okay. To come out. Bend your legs, feet on the ground. Roll to your side. Just going to remove the blanket out of the way, lie down on your back. After my spine has been in that supported back bend, now I'm going to feel how it's settling. The back is elongating as the spine is moving back towards the ground. Right? Previously, we had it moving up towards the sky. Now, think of the spine, your spine is descending back towards the earth. And I'm going to straighten both legs. I'm going to take my left leg and move it over to the left a little bit, towards the left corner of the mat. Right leg right up alongside of it. I'm going to hold my right wrist. I'm going to lift my chest and torso and move it to the left a little bit, also towards the left side of my mat. So I'm doing a side bend. This is one of the ways your spine, your torso is designed for movement, this lateral flexion. Right heel, reach it long. You can pull on the right hand here a little bit. You can use some force. If you're staying longer, you want to emphasize more a sort of a relaxed feel to the pose.
Primarily feeling the whole right side of body, right lung expanding into right ribs. And come back. I'm going to do the left side. Right leg over towards the right corner of the mat, left leg right up alongside of it. Hold your left wrist, angle your torso to the right, recline, side bend. Your outer leg, in this case the left leg, maybe a little bit more active than the inside leg. This outer leg reaching. You can use your hand to pull on the wrist a little bit. So there's times where you're more active or sort of a little slightly vigorous, and there's times where you want to be more passive and just rest and relax. And then bring your legs back to center. Okay. Soles of the feet on the ground. I have a strap here somewhere, buried in the blankets. Feet on the ground. One of my all-time favorite pose. Sanskrit, Supta Padangustasana. I'm going to keep left leg bent, right leg up towards the sky. Just a few moments, release the hamstrings. Bend this leg, left foot into the belt. You can see in this series we're almost doing some version of this in almost every single class because these poses are that good, they're that effective, they're that beneficial. One of my favorite ways of using the belt, is to wrap it around the hands like that. And then I don't have to pull, I don't have to use my fists or grip at all. I just sort of let the arms dangle in that. All right. And then I'll set the belt down at the side. Cross at your shins, right? Above the ankle joint, below the knee joint. If you can, you're going to hold feet. If not, you can hold here. And you're just going to rock a little side to side. Broadening your back, massaging your back. If I want to get a little lower down here, I have to sort of do some little circles with my legs. But it also can be so nice just to rock side to side. Let the earth broaden and massage your back. Feet on the ground. Roll to your right side. And come up onto hands and knees. Okay. Going to start in wide knee child's pose. Hopefully your knees are okay with this. Knees wide apart. I'm going to sit back. You can see I sit all the way onto my heels. You may not get that far. Take your hands out in front. Wiggle the hips side to side, crawl your hands forward. Okay. All right. One of the very sort of traditional ways of starting classes, or one of the very effective ways of mobilizing the spine, we alternate between cat and cow. So we'll show you the cow pose first. Belly relaxes, chest broadens and lifts. As you exhale, push your hands down into the earth. Draw your navel straight up towards the sky. Drop your tailbone underneath, heavy your head down. Then inhale, do the opposite. Lift your chest, relax belly. Exhale, a few rounds like that.
Curl your toes underneath. Go ahead and move into downward facing dog. Right. Again, I'm going to walk my feet in place a little bit. I'm going to sway a little bit. You can see, for me, my legs are able to straighten to a fair degree. If when you do this pose, it feels like your back is doing that, like it does in some of the child's poses, once again, said in previous classes, bend your knees. Think about using your arms to drive length into your spine. And then set your knees down on the ground. Come all the way down onto your tummy. And into Sphinx pose. Elongate your legs back. Legs pressed down. Lightly draw tailbone under a little bit. You can see in my pelvis, it's not a big action. Tailbone comes under a little bit. Forearms and arms press down. They don't move, but the arms are pulling back this way, energetically or isometrically pulling back. So this is a very accessible back bend for most people. If we think about restoring lumbar curve, right, healing lower back issues, bulged discs, all those sorts of things, then this pose is so nice because it allows you can stay a little while in it, and your body gets to sort of absorb and process the information that you're giving it. If you have some neck, shoulder tension, move the head around a little bit. And then go ahead and lower down, turn your head to one side. Oh. Palms underneath your shoulders. You need a little bit of abdominal muscle tone. Press up to hands and knees. Now, two options here. Either downward facing dog. Some people seem to prefer that always. My preference is child's pose. So I'm going to start to draw tailbone under. I'm starting to round my back, sitting back towards my heels. Now I'll come back to hands and knees. Downward facing dog again. Bending and straightening legs. Bringing some length back into spine. Right. Slight scoop of the tailbone under. Neck releasing, head relaxing somewhere between your arms. Inhale, coming forward. We're going to do Sphinx pose one more time. Lower arm down. Right. So this is also absolutely a go-to pose. Legs anchor down. Tailbone draws under slightly. You can think of the back part of your spine deepening towards the front of the body. That's happening in the lower back. That's happening in the mid and the upper back. Spine is moving into the body, towards the belly, towards your chest. The legs and arms combine to create length and lift. Length and lift for your spine. Exhale, lower down. I'm going to turn my head to the other side. Oh. I'm going to come back up onto hands and knees. And as you do this, then you can decide for yourself. Do I want to go into down dog, more of a lengthening action for the spine, or do I want to go into child's pose, which creates that sort of rounding feel?
My body prefers this. It sort of juxtaposes, like cat-cow, the actions of back bend and forward bend. Coming up to hands and knees. Again, downward facing dog. So we're working with simple ingredients, nothing fancy, not a lot of ingredients in this class, but the way we utilize them, the way we sequence them is really important and provides the really therapeutic value. Of course, the quality of the ingredients is helpful too. You come down onto knees, and here, slowly, if you can, lower all the way onto your belly. So rather than Sphinx pose, we'll use the bulged or Cobra. Hands right underneath the shoulders. I'm going to draw the elbows in against the sides of my ribs, legs anchoring down, tailbone under. I'm going to push down and forward with my hands. Belly stays down. So this is doing something very similar to Sphinx pose. Although you can see it's lifted me a little bit more, but it's also more demanding, so I'm not as relaxed. I'm not going to stay as long here. I'm going to lower down. Hand placement, it's important to experiment and be curious. I'm going to do the pose again. I'm going to take my hands forward a little bit, anchor legs, feet, draw tailbone under, pushing the hands down and forward, lifting the chest. Then what I can do here, I don't move my hands, but I start to pull them back, like I'm pulling them back towards my waist. Right? We don't want, I call this NFL lineman neck. Right? I used to be a lineman, so I can say that. Long neck like a giraffe. And lower down. So those are fairly accessible back bends for most people. And they do provide quite a lot of movement for your spine, even though they're not, quote unquote, advanced or difficult. And then come up to hands and knees. Again, downward dog or child's pose, you decide. I'm going to take child's pose. My lower back prefers this. My lower back doesn't get this enough. Come on up to hands and knees. One more time. Downward facing dog. Strong arms, hands pressing down and forward. Always bend your knees in down dog. There's no rule. I checked the playbook, I checked the rule book today. No rule that says you have to straighten your legs or they have to be straight. Let's go one more time for bulged with Cobra. Plank position, come onto your knees, lower all the way down. Okay. One more way of doing Cobra. There's many ways for these poses. Widen your hands from your mat, come onto your finger pads. So your hands have these little suctions through the center of the palm. Action of pelvis, legs, feet are the same. Inhale. Come up off the earth. Exhale, lower down. In this case, we're going to use a little bit of repetition and movement. Legs anchored. Inhale, spine is elongating and lifting. Exhale, elongating and lowering. Inhale, spine elongates, sort of peeling off the ground into back bend. Exhale, elongate and lower down. So that's another nice way of enjoying Cobra pose and exploring back bending. Press up to hands and knees. Down dog, in my case, child's pose. Sit back onto the heels, rest forehead down. Bring your palms underneath your shoulders. Push down through the earth so you're not asking your back to lift you up by itself. You use leverage to come on up. Okay. Now, I'm going to use folded blanket. Could be the same one that we started class with. Maybe to simplify for now, I'll just use that blanket. I'm going to come and sit on that. Now, there's not a lot of seated poses in this particular series, partially because they can be tricky, potentially problematic, especially if you're in back pain, right? Unless you're under the guidance of an experienced teacher, or you sort of know what to avoid or what to look for. I'm going to sit up on a folded blanket. I'm going to do one twist. Cross your right foot over left knee, foot on the ground, left arm wrap it around your right leg. Now, if it feels like you're falling back, then sit up higher on another blanket so you can sit. You can feel like you're sitting upright and tall. Left arm wraps around the right thigh, right hand behind you. You can use the fingertips again. 5 breaths here. Inhaling, exhaling, turning and twisting. You can see I'm going to take it slow into twist. I can breathe this whole time. If you try and go too far, too fast, you hit a dead end pretty quick and there's nowhere else to go. Inhaling, elongating and lifting. Exhale, turning and twisting. Inhale, using the legs to create lift. And exhale, twist, twist, twist. Inhale, come on back to center. Straighten your right leg. Second side, left foot, step it to the outside of the right knee. Take your right arm, I like to hold the leg in place, and really you're also pushing the leg across your body. Get a nice tight sort of seal or bind there. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, turning and twisting. Use that back hand, fingertips, to lift, and then slowly release, turn and twist. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, turning and twisting. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, turning and twisting. And come on back. Straighten your legs. Okay. So we're going to set up for another version of Shavasana, corpse pose. In this one, it's another supported back bend. So we've started with back bend, we've then moved our spine into lateral flexion, forward bend, forward bend, twist, twist. And then we'll finish in back bend, okay? The blanket that we used to start, instead of crossing your mat, center it right in the middle of your mat on the long side. Your second blanket, something like this, folded, make a letter T. So you're not going to sit on this blanket, but you're going to sit right up against it. Right? You can see I'm holding it in place here. It's touching the back of my pelvis. And again, I'm going to keep my legs bent. I'm going to use my arms to slowly lower myself down. Whoops, I've miscalculated a little bit. I'm going to reposition this pillow there, a little bit more towards the back. Now, some of you might need quite a bit more support for your head, so I'll show that. I'm just going to go with a little bit of thicker pillow. This is probably going to feel like way too much for me. Right, so I'm going to go back to this. Press your feet down, lift your butt, take your buttocks flesh, move it out of your lower back. And then sort of snuggle, snuggle. One of my son's favorite words right now, he says, nuggle, 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 daddy, nuggle. Okay, right? So we can do constructive rest legs as we began the practice. or straight legs. So, Shavasana in a supported back bend. Feel the contour of your lower back. From the earth, how it lifts and arcs up onto the blanket. And let your torso soften and relax onto this blanket that you're draped over. If you can, turn your palms open towards the sky. And we're going to focus a little bit more on the volume of the inhalation now, since this pose is really accentuating that possibility. Don't feel like you need to rush it or take too much at a time. Little by little, increase the depth, the duration of your inhalation. I'm noticing how my legs, I'm still gripping, my hips are still gripping, and I'm trying to remind myself to relax my legs, to let them go. So I'm observing sensation in my body, what's happening in my body, and then I might bring my awareness back to my breath. And sometimes you go back and forth, and sometimes you're sort of observing both simultaneously. Staying a bit longer if you have the time. Observing the length, the volume, the depth of your inhalations. The relaxation of your hips and legs. The relaxation of your torso draped over the folded blankets. I'm going to take a nap now. See you later. Namaste.